Welcome to another episode of the Other 99 Times Count Your Blessings. I'm Liz Fables. My guest today is Rasheeda Winfield, who's part of the stellar cast of a new documentary by Paulus Productions called The Dating Project. Rasheeda lights up the screen with her wit, her raw honesty, her fearless personality as part of a group of millennials that are navigating the dating scene, trying to find love in a world where love seems lost amid social media, amid drama, reality TV lifestyles. Rasheeda, thank you so much for joining me. I watched as much as I could of the trailer without breaking down myself because I'm like, okay, I could have been in the dating project. You really put yourself out there. You put yourself in a very vulnerable position. Talk to me about why you decided to do the dating project.
Oh boy, I feel like, look, when it comes to dating and relationships, it's so messy, right? We don't know how to do it. And just everyone has an opinion or some past pain or past hurt. And so I've kind of always been that friend that people can like call and be like, girl, this is what happened, da, 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 da. And I was going through a lot of issues myself, trying to find love and find a real relationship. And it got overwhelming. It got to the point where I kept hearing stories. So imagine this, picture this, right? In one day, be ready. In one day, on a Saturday, I had 4 different stories of heartbreak, heartache come my way. 3 of the 4 were friends, people that I knew. One person, I was a complete stranger. I was at a friend's birthday party, and you know how like you go out and there may be multiple parties in the same like club or environment. I didn't even know this person at all.
You just have that empathetic sense about you, and
she came up to me and spilled her whole life about the.
Meantime, you're going through your own stuff.
I'm going through my own stuff. Okay. And at that point, I had already heard 2 stories of heartbreak earlier in the day. So in one day, I had all of these stories of women just crying their eyes out. And I was like, I don't know what to do. This is a little crazy. So I remember going home that night. I don't know what to do. Like, this is very overwhelming. The only thing that I knew to do was pray. I was like, what if, the idea came to my mind, what if I actually was serious enough to dedicate 40 days of praying and fasting about dating and relationships in this day and age?
Okay.
I was like, what if I prayed for the men? What if I prayed for the women? What if I prayed for the sanctity of marriage? What would that look like? And I was like, and I would love to be able to invite my friends, my girlfriends, to just pray with me and to just share.
Now, what I hear from that is, I'm going to pray for the men, I'm going to pray for the women, I'm going to pray for the sanctity. Who's praying for Rasheeda?
My friends. You know?
And the reason I ask that is because I think a lot of us, especially people that come on this show, you never know people's story.
Right.
The people that sit here, of course, they come in, they're very well put together. You know, I'm going to be on TV. I got to look, my best self. And, I have to make sure that I put my best foot forward. Yet, as we delve deeper into the lives of the people that are on this show, everyone has stuff. Everyone is going through something, has gone through something, or knows somebody that goes through something. You were part of that corporate America 24-hour go grind to the point where you beat yourself down. Talk to me about where that left you.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, at least in this day and age, it's easy to have a false sense of identity. So I tied who I was as a person to my career. So I worked in television, entertainment, and I was working literally nonstop. And don't get me wrong, I love my job. I think it's great to be ambitious, to have goals. But that's all I knew. I kept going, and it got to the point where I couldn't go anymore.
I realized you lost yourself in this world.
Boy, I was just miserable. I think you just feel this sinking sensation that's just, you feel empty because you're always going. My friends didn't see me, my family didn't see me. It was just work.
So you lose this quality of life. One morning you wake up and just the thought of getting out of bed was a struggle for you. How did you get there?
Oh my gosh. I think when you can't move on anymore and you can't do anything else, you're like, you literally can't move. And even though I feel like I've always had a good support system, because I let my support system kind of go because I was just so one track, all of those voices, all of that support wasn't there for me in a sense that I wouldn't let them in because I was like, no, I got to keep going. And so, I mean, it took me getting sick.
And that's where I want to go to because I don't think people understand just how dangerous stress is, just how dangerous is, and you always explain it so well, that concept of self-care, not adhering to that is. What did stress do to you?
Oh man, stress did a lot of things to me. And I'm very open and honest about this because I think this is something that we need to talk about more. But for me, how it manifested in my body is as a woman, I actually, the stress caused a cyst to grow on my ovary. And this is something that I only knew was an issue because I woke up one morning and I had this shooting pain in my side. They thought it was the appendix, but I was like taken out. So before I know it, I'm in the ER for hours. We have no idea what's wrong with me. And then finally x-ray everything and we're like, oh yeah, you had a cyst on your ovary. And I'm like, 6 months ago when I went to the GYN, I was fine.
You were just fine.
And it was just a constant nonstop because you're getting up early and then you're working really late and then you're not eating well, you're not eating properly, and you're maybe getting 3-4 hours of sleep.
You were just in so much pain, physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yes.
Describe what that was like. Describe what that void felt like and how you tried your best to get through it, but could not.
Okay, so now this is where I'm gonna cry because
girl, we done cried for every episode. Why stop now?
You know, I think you get to a point where you feel like you're alone and you just can't do anything else. And so I was so stressed trying to figure out what am I gonna do with my life because I couldn't keep working at that capacity, at that pace. And the stress and the anxiety and the depression actually took a toll on my body physically. So I think a lot of times we think of, depression or anxiety being a mental thing, but it actually can physically manifest.
It's debilitating.
So what happened with me is I could not walk. It was like this internal tremor that I would constantly feel. So like you see how we're sitting here right now, I would be sitting up in my chair, not moving, and it would feel like my body was going like this. I went to the doctors and they were telling me it's the anxiety, but I'm like, it can't be. What do you mean? It can't be that. And it literally took me out. I couldn't sleep. It was almost like a vertigo feeling, but vertigo, you feel the room spinning. This was my body.
You went to doctors. Did you share your pain with other people or did you just choose to internalize it, which is what a lot of us tend to do, and then it just starts eating away at us like a cancer? It's toxic.
It is toxic. I mean, I've always been an oversharer. So and there was no shame. So like I did have a support system, but one thing that I needed to really do was have a therapist because your friends can only take so much, right? Because there's that part of you that's like, I don't want to share anymore. I don't want to be the friend that's like, there's something wrong with me again. But, I think mental health is just as important as physical health, right? So I was like, I need a therapist. I need to be able to share these things because I feel like I'm going
If you can pinpoint how long it took for you to be at the bottom of your emotional level to the point where you're just like, okay, I have to do something or I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Because it came to that for you. You didn't know if you could even go on.
Yeah, it was really bad. And I feel like a lot of people may look at my story and be like, well, what was the issue, right? I feel like a lot of times we say, well, that person is going through something really, really serious. So my own pain doesn't compare to that, but everybody has their own pain.
It's relative.
It is.
Relative to the life that you or I are accustomed to living.
Absolutely.
Is how we can measure our pain. And I'm so happy you bring that up because it's such an important concept of this show. As I stated in the beginning, we all go through our stuff.
Right.
This person's stuff could be harsher or more difficult for them. What you went through, which I think was a very difficult period in your time, was just as difficult and challenging.
Absolutely.
And I can hear the pain in your voice and see it in your face. So obviously, if it hurts you, it matters. We're going to take a quick break because I want to rejoin you with how you managed to pull yourself out of that. We talked a little bit about it in this segment, but you have found a strength that is so inspirational and so encouraging from where you came from to where you are now. It's something that I definitely want our viewers to hear about. So please stay with us. We're going to pay some bills. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, but join me as we talk to Rasheeda about her journey from tribulation to triumph on The Other 99 Times right after this break. Welcome back to The Other 99 Times, Count Your Blessings. I'm having an incredible conversation with my guest, Rasheeda Winfield. Rasheeda, thank you so much. Your vulnerability is refreshing, for want of a better word. We live in a society, it is, in my humble opinion, where we think sharing these types of things are polarizing. We think that it would create a stigma around us where people don't trust us to be strong. They don't trust us to move on with life. They don't trust us with just the basic things because they think we're fragile and we can't handle it. How do you overcome those feelings to be as free as you are with your emotions and with your experiences?
Well, it took me a while to get here. I can't say that I was just
She
like...
goes, I goes. I already wonder about the makeup. Go on.
It's not like I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to just be open and share this. But I know that a lot of people suffer in silence. And again, I am just one of those people who I'm very sensitive to how other people are struggling. People openly share what they're going through. And I realize that a lot of the things that they're going through, I'm going through. And I'm like, pain is actually something that connects us as humans, I believe. Everyone has something that they're going through. And so I think in order to overcome it, to see transformation, you have to be able to be open about this.
You have to turn that mirror on yourself. But that introspection is not easy.
Oh, it's hard. You go, I call
see
it
parts
the dark
of yourself that you know you would prefer to kind of just leave there.
It takes courage. It takes a lot of bravery. And I know for me, it was my faith. I went through a period where I was questioning God. I was like, why am I going through this? I feel like I've done everything right. You know, I did the diligent student, and then I did the career thing. And it's like, why do I still feel empty? Why do I still struggle with these things? And it took a lot of what I call rest and wrestling, where I had to slow down and actually rest and stop. But then I also, in those resting moments, I cried out to God, right? And I think a lot of times when we think of prayer, we're like, oh, well, when you pray, it's like, oh. No, I mean, my praying was like screaming.
You on your knees.
I was like, God, where are you? And there was such a long period of time where I was like, I feel like I'm alone. I feel like even though I have family and friends, it's like, why do I still feel this emptiness? But I also see that God, he brings you. I believe he leads you through that because it produces someone stronger and bolder on the other side. And I can say that that's where I am now. And I'm like, people, whatever you're going through, you can overcome it. I'm not trying to sound cheesy, cliche.
But it's the reality.
A part of life.
It's a part of life. It's just that uncomplicated. One of my favorite sayings, and I can't quite think of where I got it from, but I say it to myself all the time. Who were you before the world told you what you were supposed to be?
That's so good.
And there are days I wake up and I ask myself, am I being my genuine self? Or am I being what television wants me to be, what my daughter wants me to be, what a boyfriend wants me to be? And those are very difficult moments because you begin to question yourself.
Absolutely.
And you wonder if you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
If you did go through a similar experience, or if you do go through a similar experience, do you know who you are right now?
Absolutely. It was during those dark times where I had to believe who God says I am. right? And so I think as a Christian, a lot of times we're like, yes, I pray and I read the Bible. But no, I actually read the Bible
cover to cover,
and was like, oh, there's passages here where God says that I'm a masterpiece, where I'm an overcomer,
beautifully and wonderfully
where I'm
made.
wonderfully, beautifully, fearfully made. And you have to let those truths seep into you.
How? How do you do that?
It
How
is
do you go from
literally-
pain to accepting the truth?
You know what? I don't think it's an overnight thing. It's surrounding yourself with that. It's surrounding yourself with reading it. I would actually, if I wasn't able to read the Bible, I would like listen to it.
Wow.
So there's like a Bible app, and I would like have the scriptures playing. I got to a point where I was writing down scriptures on a Post-it note, and I put it over my mirror because I needed to wake up and I needed to immerse myself with these truths. And it wasn't an overnight thing. I want people to know that. It's not like, oh yeah, I just woke up and I was like, oh yeah, I'm an overcomer. Like, it is a dark period, and you have to let that seep down. And I surrounded myself with, like, I would listen to sermons online, even TED Talks. Like, you need that positivity. And I'm all about like the practical things, because it's one thing
because you need to touch
say,
the heart, the mind, and the soul.
and you need to seep it in. And then I also started declaring. I would say out loud that I am an overcomer, that I've already been healed. Like, these were things that you hear people talk about, but I was like, I found myself in that pit, and I was like, I have to speak these.
It was like a constant reinforcement for yourself.
Absolutely.
Which led you to begin
the prayer promise?
Yes. I wanted you to say it because tell us really quickly what that is. I think it's an amazing concept.
Yeah.
I'm happy you came up with it, and I need you to share what it is, the prayer promise.
Yes, so the prayer promise is something that I wrote to pray for this generation and how we do relationships. So I prayed for men, I prayed for women, I prayed for, again, just marriage. I prayed that there would no longer be any confusion. And so this is something that I wrote out, and I invited my friends to participate in praying with me whenever they could during their day, and they did. And it was just a period of time where I really just sought the Lord, and I was like, I don't know what else to do. I know people are hurting, and I'm just gonna bring this up to you, and that has opened up doors.
Are you close to your family? Do you have a tight relationship with your mom? Does that help you?
Oh my goodness. If it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be here right now.
They're superheroes.
Oh my gosh. And my dad. I'm not trying to say my dad, but my mom, she has spoken life into me. She has been the one to tell me that you can get through this. And I thank God for her. I would not be here, and I would not have gone through those hard, difficult times if she wasn't there just telling me that you can do this. There's a brighter day.
How is Rasheeda good to herself on a daily basis?
Oof, that's good. How am I good to
How
myself?
are you good to yourself?
Honestly,
I want answers.
I would say it's taking the time to rest. And I know that sounds like, well, what do you mean by that?
No,
but even
we don't do
moments
it
where, like, for example, you're at work and I'm like, okay, I'm grinding, but I need a moment to just mentally detach. So let me watch this segment from one of my favorite shows, or a cat video. I mean, it sounds so
It makes
simple.
sense because I relate in that external stimuli for me too much. I feel, we discussed this, I feel like my brain swells.
Yes.
I feel like it's just too much coming at me at one time,
Yes.
and my head's gonna explode.
Yeah.
So I understand what you mean by the importance of taking a step back and a deep breath, and finding your center and your focus, so you do not literally self-destruct.
Because you will, if you don't. You can't. The human body was not made to keep going.
To take that kind of constant
God
abuse.
rested. He rested. He created the beautiful world that we live in, and he rested. So
how does
you
this
can
help
rest.
you in your relationships? Are you seeing someone right now? Are you even prepared to see someone now?
I feel like I'm at a point now where I can see someone. I needed to get healthy first, right? Because I think a lot of times we're looking for that, perfect person. First of all, perfection does not exist.
It doesn't exist.
But I also know that I want to be the person that someone wants, right? I want to work on me.
Because you had a difficult relationship prior to you finding yourself.
I did. I mean, I've had a couple of, honestly.
Girl, join the club.
I was like, heartbreak has been a friend of mine, but I'm still hopeful, right? And I also know that I had to grow and learn through a lot of those experiences as well. And I've had, oh my gosh, heartbreak where it's, you can't even move. But I know that I am a stronger and a better person through it. When I was going through it though,
you didn't realize
we couldn't talk about this. Right. I'd be like, nope, it's the end of the world. I can't move it. But I'm at a point where I am open and ready whenever God would have.
How do you talk to young men and women in your generation? Because I've got some years over you, so I could say that. I could even call you baby girl, because that's how many years I have over her. What do you say to your generation of millennials that are so focused on body image, social media, Snapchat filters? What's the reality from Rasheeda's standpoint?
Yeah. So I can't take the credit for this, but my pastor said a lot of times this day and age we talk about FOMO, which is fear of missing out. But what about fear of squandering opportunities? So that's FOSO. So for me, it's like, even in my singleness, even where I am right now, how can God use me? I think before I went through a lot of heartache and that dark period, I was like, me. This is what I want to do.
Right.
It's all about me. But I have shifted now, and I'm like, God, how can I use my life to help somebody else or to help other people?
You went from selfish to selfless.
Yeah.
And it looks good on you. It looks
Thank
very,
you.
very good on you. We will have final words with this beautiful woman when we come back. Talk a little bit about what she's doing now for herself to build up her power and the power of others when the other 99 times count your blessing continues. Welcome back to the other 99 times count your blessings. Your energy, Ms. Rasheeda, is contagious. And I'm so appreciative. I want to wrap with some final words from you, and I need it to be about the prayer promise, because it's an important part of your life.
It is. I mean, I can honestly say that praying this has changed everything. And after I prayed this for 40 days with my friends, literally a couple of days after that, the opportunity to be a part of the dating project came about. And the dating project is about helping this generation actually date properly. And it's about respect and honor. And I know that these are concepts that we're probably like, what does that even mean? But it's like looking at your fellow human being and just being like, okay, even if I'm not interested, I'm not going to mislead you.
Now, if really quickly, if somebody wants to get a copy of the prayer promise, or if you can email it to them, how can they reach you?
So I have created a platform called WeDateModern.com. And this is where I want this generation to learn skills on how to date, how to really relate to one another. And this is where you can find the prayer promise.
Okay. I love that you were here. I'm going to leave here a lot happier, and I hope you do too, because I want to present you with a copy of The Other 99 Times, TYMES, Train Your Mind to Enjoy Serenity. This is the inspiration for this show. Carlos Wallace is also the creative consultant and author of this book, and I hope it continues to encourage you, bring you peace, bring you light. That's a signed copy for you. Grateful is an understatement.
Thank you.
For what you have brought to this program. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your honesty. And I look forward to actually having you back one day, because we need this. We need this type of positive affirmation. Thank you, my love.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you once again for joining us for the other 99 times Count Your Blessings. I'm going to definitely see you next week, because the great stories continue and the great guests continue. And I want you to continue finding your power, your strength, and your inspiration, if not from this show, within yourself. Thank you so much. Okay,